This was kind of crazy if you ask me. This back and forth between Black Compass Media, Tony Bro, Cola, and ARP during an interview that Black Compass is hosting with ARP. ARP actually ends up confronting Black Compass Media over their extremely biased and one-sided perspectives when it comes to situations that involve URL, controversy, NBS Central, and etc. Things went kind of left for a little bit during this interview while they were having this conversation. There's one major point while they were having that conversation, though, that I feel like Black Compass Media was failing to understand, bruh. Let's talk about it. Hey, listen, I'm up at 7 in the morning right now, trying to get a video out to you guys before work. I'm trying to put in twice as much work on these videos, maybe even 3 times as much work as I've been putting in for the past 3 years. So because of that simple fact, and I'm not even fully awake yet, y'all hit a like for your boy on this video. Second of all, Averb, I can't wait till the day that A-Ward smokes your boots. It's not even gonna matter because you're still gonna get on your live streams and you're still gonna trash talk A-Ward and talk about how he's trash and he got gassed and blase blah. But he's gonna smoke your boots, bro. Thirdly, let me jump right into this topic because I don't have too much time. And there's a point that I want to make and need to make as it pertains to Black Compass Media and ARP. I don't know if a lot of y'all caught the interview. A lot of y'all did catch the interview because I saw almost 1,000 people in this live stream yesterday. Black Compass Media interviews ARP. Black Compass Media interviews ARP. While Black Compass Media is interviewing ARP, a very controversial conversation comes up. Tony Bro brings up I guess a blog that ARP had done at one point. ARP made a blog addressing the fact that there were bloggers out there who seemed to be compromised, pretty much. Referencing compromised bloggers. Tony Bro felt as if though this blog that ARP did applied to him, right? So he I guess was offended or took offense by the blog. So Tony Bro he started asking about it. When Tony Bro started asking about that blog and the compromised media blogs regarding the NBS Central situation, that opened up a can of worms. It opened up an entire can of worms, bro, because what started to happen after Tony Bro asked and was asking about that blog and who ARP was talking about and referring to and blase blah, things went kind of left. ARP started to try and explain certain things to Black Compass Media that I feel like Black Compass Media was failing to understand, right? So ARP was pointing out in the blog, right, that Tony Bro was being extremely biased and one-sided. So Tony Bro and the Black Compass brand was being extremely one-sided and biased as it pertained to that situation with NBS Central. Yeah, I remember NBS Central came out and ARP came out and they made allegations saying that Beasley came out and reached out to NBS Central to offer a situation and so that they wouldn't cover RBE anymore. You know what I'm saying? They were talking about that situation and Black Compass Media comes out and starts to make shows, right? And pretty much shows, blogs and stuff saying that that's cap. Saying that that's cap. Saying that what ARP and what NBS Central are saying is cap. And there's no way that it could happen in blase blah. Why would they pay a smaller blogger like NBS Central to blase blah? So basically, Black Compass Media pushing out this idea and this narrative that what ARP and NBS are saying is completely false and cap. ARP starts to address that situation when ARP is asked about the blog that he made when he was talking about compromised media bloggers. ARP, Tony Bro, you messed up. You opened that can of worms because then ARP started to ARP started to school Black Compass Media. It's not like it mattered though because Black Compass Media ultimately didn't understand the point that ARP was trying to make. ARP was trying to make the point that that was a compromised blog. That was a compromised situation. The fact that Black Compass Media, right? A brand as well known as Black Compass Media that has a close relationship with URL like Black Compass Media. If you come out and you start saying that what ARP and NBS Central are saying is fully cap without knowing if it's fully cap, that is bias. That could be considered compromised. So the fact that Black Compass Media, you can say, right, because there's two ends of the spectrum, right? There's the Beasley end of the spectrum where he's saying that that didn't happen. He didn't reach out to NBS Central, right? And then there's the other end of the spectrum where ARP and NBS Central are letting us know that Beasley did attempt to do such a thing, right? You would think that as media, right? Because again, the name of this platform is Black Compass Media. You would think that as media, the responsibility of media being to remain neutral, to report on information, to bring news, right? To give up to date and not necessarily giving your opinions and what you think about something and blah, blah, blah. That's why I personally prefer to be a blogger, because I have more flexibility and leniency in being able to do that and talk about how I feel, what I think about something, because I don't have the same responsibility as a media platform. So where when you call yourself Black Compass Media, now you have a bigger responsibility than most regular normal platforms that don't call themselves media. If you're media, how can you be extremely biased towards one end of the spectrum to say that Beasley did not do this? This is fully 100% cap without knowing that that's the case. But you can't at all believe this end of the spectrum, which is ARP and NBS Central stating that this actually happened, even though we recently, and they even discussed it here and on the Norbs It All interview that ARP had with him, even though we just recently got news that Swave Seva from 15 Minutes of Fame was also just recently on Sunday called for the same type of reasons to stop reporting RBE. So we can't, right, as Black Compass Man, and this is what ARP, the point ARP was trying to make. He's not saying that you guys are fully compromised and are fully biased and are fully. No. But we can have moments and we can have times to where we come off as compromised and or biased. Even myself, I claimed, I'm very proud in the fact that I'm not compromised, right? But that's not to say that if you watch one of my videos, you guys as supporters, you're not going to feel as if though I'm compromised at one point in time because I feel a way about something specifically. It might come off like that sometimes, even though I pride myself on not being compromised. I could make a blog that might come off as compromised because I believe somebody like ARP or something, which I do. There's just no proof, so I can't jump out the window, you know what I'm saying, anymore and be like, oh, he really did this. Look, here's the proof. That's just all it is. Like, I believe ARP. I just can't jump out the window. So that's the thing when it comes to the situation. Like, again, as a media platform, it is your responsibility to remain neutral, to report facts, to report the information, to report what's going on, not to sit there and combat something like what ARP is saying. Like, you don't know yourself, like Tony, bro, you don't know yourself whether or not that situation happened between NBS, Beasley, and Beasley and NBS. You don't know whether that situation happened yet. What you did was you created a whole show and radio and live, whatever the case is, saying that that's cap. This is what ARP was talking about. That specifically is what ARP was talking about, bro. But then you want to make this argument, but then you guys were trying to make this argument that you're not compromised. But even Cola, right, at one point during this interview and this back and forth made the point of, and it was a good point, but you need to use your own logic and apply it to the situation. Cola makes the point of, how are we supposed to believe you, ARP, right? How are we supposed to 100% believe you if there's no proof, right? If there's no proof, how are we supposed to believe you? Pretty much defending that they were on radio show saying that it was all cap and stuff like that. If there's no proof, how are we supposed to? Cola, that applies to both ends of this spectrum, bruh. The same exact way that you feel, right, that you can't believe ARP because there's no proof, should be the same exact way that you feel about Beasley stating that this never happened. You don't know. You don't know whether or not this ever happened. But we do know URL's history. We do know the fact that it just recently happened with Swave Seva, right? Let's give it some context. We do know these things. But yet, somebody like Cola and Black Compass Media is willing to 100% believe the URL, even though they've provided no evidence in fact. They're just 100% willing to believe what they say, even though they've provided no facts or proof over what somebody like ARP says. So you're willing to, and on top, again, keep in mind, you guys are media. Like you call yourselves Black Compass Media, which means that you are supposed to be media. Yet we are extremely biased and one-sided as it pertains to this NBS situation. But how? Did Beasley give you guys proof? Did Beasley or URL show you guys proof that didn't happen? That he didn't call NBS Central? Did he show y'all the proof? Because the way that they're coming at the situation, you would think that URL either showed them the proof, right, that there was no phone calls made or whatever the case is, or you're compromised and being extremely biased towards the URL, not even willing to take into consideration what Beasley did calling NBS Central, not even willing to take URL's history and the context around the business of URL into consideration when thinking about this type of situation, not even taking into consideration the fact that they just reached out to Swave Seva and tried to prevent him from further covering RBE and etc. and blase blah. This is the point, bruh, that I feel like Black Compass Media was missing this entire time, bro, but instead ended up going back and forth with ARP, arguing about who was right and who's wrong and what they and what blah, 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 blah. Instead of simply understanding, bro, that what ARP was saying was that blog, the reason he addressed that blog was because it came off as you guys were being extremely biased and compromised towards the URL. But how? If the URL's not showing any proof that they didn't do anything, how are we so confident that they didn't do that? But at the same time, you're confident that ARP is capping by saying that that's cap and that couldn't happen. Why would they pay a smaller? Bruh. That's what ARP was talking about when he was talking about the compromised blogger situation, bruh. If you're going to speak on a situation like that, Black Compass Media, right? So you're going to speak on a controversial situation like that, such as did Beasley as an entity and as a business reach out to another entity to prevent them from working with another entity type of thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, how can we just believe what Beasley and URL say with no proof, but we can't believe what ARP says with no proof? That's the point ARP was making. And that's a very good point, bruh. Even I jumped out the window when the situation came about with NBS Central. When ARP and NBS were actually talking and putting the information out there, I jumped out the window and made some blogs regarding the situation. But even I, right, realized that I jumped out the window, right, because there was no proof. So even though I do believe ARP, right, even though I did believe ARP, I made a blog and I ended up apologizing to a Beasley and URL because of the fact that there was no proof regarding the situation. So even I, who was on one end of the spectrum, you know what I'm saying, I could say that I was biased towards ARP because I believe what ARP is saying. I still do. It's just the proof is not out there. But I still do believe, obviously, that Beasley reached out to NBS or whatever to try to get them. They reached out to Swave Seva recently, bro. 15 minutes of fame, Swave Seva. Like, it definitely happened. It's just a matter of there's no proof of it. There's no proof. So even I had to take some accountability for the fact that there was no proof and apologize for the situation. But it seems as if though these guys don't understand. Like, At no point during the conversation did they ever come to the understanding that, okay, you're right, ARP, you're right. You know what I'm saying? Us having a responsibility, being a big platform, we shouldn't just say something like, oh, that's cap. When ARP sitting out there trying to crying for pleading for, you know, crying for help, you know what I'm saying? Letting the battle rap community know these are the types of things that are happening. This is the type of thing that's happening. This is the type of thing that's happening. And then you as a big platform get on there and start saying, oh, now that's cap. That's cap. Bruh, how can we do that? That's the reason that you guys were being considered compromised and biased, specifically in this situation, bro. We can't do that. We got to learn how to carry ourselves as media platforms, bro. If you want to do that, start a blog. If you want to talk about how you feel or what you think, and you think this person's capping about this, and when you don't know the facts and you just want to spew your opinions and speculations and ideas, just blog. Start a blog channel, bro. But if you're on Black Compass Media on this channel, bro, you got a very important responsibility, bro, to not be compromised and not be biased. So let me know what y'all think of that, man. You already know what it is. It's your boy Joe coming at you live and direct from the battle.